Okay, I'm going to fix this freaking fox. I didn't notice it. This is my last video that I posted that I noticed I had inadvertently made a mistake, several in fact, just mainly due to trying to get something done quickly. So today I'm going to fix that and show you a process that hopefully I won't mess it up. Let me go back and work on this. The whole thing is done on a Canson paper. It's an inexpensive paper, a practice paper, something that's really good for beginners. And if you're a beginner, you've probably been working on some cheaper stuff. And it's a delicate process to kind of go in and fix any of the mistakes that you may have made. You got a little more durability with a better paper. You can work a little heavier, but with this, you got to be fairly delicate and let the water do a lot of the work. If you are a beginner, I'm sure you've run into this problem. You've got to fix something because you made a mistake. And the biggest thing you can do when you've made a mistake is, well, one, ignore it until you're to a point that you can just let everything dry and then come back in and reactivate and then start working with it. I'm going to do this quick, so this shouldn't be a long video. And the biggest problem I had with this fox is that, one, I noticed that the nose isn't quite, it's a little too thick through here, and the eye's a little too low on the face. It should be higher up and more at an angle. I have a lot of really dark colors right in here, and I'm just going to kind of try to just come in on top of the eye, just drop a little water on it. It's got some really dark darks. It's got that white highlight I popped in there. And I'm just going to lift it up. Just drop a little water on it, reactivate it, and just daub it up. Come up a little higher. And try not to pill the paper. And this is very delicate. I'm not putting hardly any pressure onto the paper at all. I'm just going to lift all of that overworked area. Right there. There we go. So I'm just going to let that dry and not do anything until it has dried. And then I'll just daub up so it'll dry a little faster. I'll just take this paper towel and just kind of lift it out. There we go. I'm not scrubbing or anything. I'm just daubing. All right. And you can see it picks up a little bit of the paint off of the surface. So it needs to dry, and that will help. And again, with this Canson paper, it dries pretty quickly. It's not like the Arches paper where it will stay damp for quite a while. So, and that's one of the reasons I haven't really been using a lot of the Arches in these tutorials, is that just for the sake of speed, I do want the drying time to be a little faster. Now that in itself forces me to probably work a little more wet on dry than sometimes I would like. I'd like a little more wet on wet action depending upon the subject matter. But with the fox, it looks pretty good. It turned out nice. I've got some nice wet on wet action happening in this area. We're just patiently waiting. I don't want to stop. We're just going to wait until it's at a point I can add some color back into it. And actually, it's getting close already. And I'm just going to come up in here, and I want to draw that fox's eye a little higher. It's about that much higher in here. All right, and then it needs to be at more of an angle. All right, and then the eye is about right in there. Right in there. So while that's drying, and that's where I'm going to draw and work with my fox's eye right there. I'm going to also fix this other problem, this width of the snout. And I'm going to get this color. I'm going to get some of that burnt sienna. I'm going to mix up a nice thick mixture of that. Throw a little orange in it. And a little red. Oop. There we go. So we have a pretty close match to what we had worked with in our session last week. Nice thick mixture. All right, and really all I have to do on this one, I guess if I wanted to, I could come in and just lift a little bit of that dark painted line right there. Just lift it off very lightly, very delicately, so I don't pill the paper, okay? There we go. And we'll lift that off. And now I'm going to come in. I want to drop down a little further. I got a little piece of fuzz on the end of my brush. There we go. I'm going to come down, pull it down a little further, and make a little more of a narrower snout right there. Fill in that spot. And pull it down. There we go. It looks a little more foxish now. All right. Dropped in all that thick amount of pigment right there. And I'm just going to feather out this back side. There we go. So, boom, we've already fixed that. Now, as soon as that dries, I'm going to come in, I'm going to pick a little bit of a highlight right along the transition from the bluish green into that orange right there. I'm going to throw a little more right up in here. There we go. Feather it out. There we go. All right. All right, Mr. Fox. How are we feeling? That feels pretty dry already. I'm going to get some of this sepia color, or it might even be a Van Dyke brown. This is a, yeah, that's the sepia. I think this is the burnt umber. All right, so I want this dark color. I'm going to throw a little bit of this red into it. It's not 100% black. I don't want it that dark yet. And so it's a really dark reddish brown, fairly thick. And I'm just going to come in and try to get that eye shape right in here. And I'm doing this from memory too, so this could go horribly wrong. All right, so he's got that dark spot right along in there. We've got the eyeball, and then it had this shape right there. So we'll just kind of bounce around, and I think that's already looking good. I'll just go ahead and fill it in. All right, and I'll throw a little more of this. I want some of this yellow ochre. Get a little of that brown right there. So that tannish brown. And I'll just come in. I'm just going to scrub in just a little bit of that color. Patch over that spot that I lifted. I want that rim right along his eye, right there to remain. And I'll pull that on out this way. Like that. I wanted some color there because I will be doing some lifting. And I see a smudge or something right there. I'm just going to pull that color on out here. I must have laid my hand on it. Just going to fix it real quick. All right, right there. And then I'm going to throw some of that. I'm going to throw a little of that orange, a little more orange. A little too much orange there. I want that yellow ochre. Come on, here we go. All right, I want to put a little bit of that right up in here. Right up there. Feather it out. I'm going to pull it down into this darker shape right there. All right, so it's already looking a bit more like it should. I just touched a wet spot, so I got a fingerprint in it again. There we go. All right, and I'm just going to put a little rim right along the upper eyelid right there. All right, so that's drying. This is drying nice. So I think we have a good angle on the eyes starting to work better. And now I'm going to get a little bit of the Payne's gray, I believe. Right there. So that's our dark, dark. Get a little dab more there. How we doing? We got 10 minutes in. I was hoping to do this in 15. All right. Cool. I'm just messing around now. All right. let me come right in here on this eye, get that darkest spot right next and against the eyeball. And he pulls it out. It kind of had a shape like that, if I remember right. And I'll soften that out. All right. Just soften it out. Come on. There we go. All right. Now we'll get the upper eyelid. We'll throw that center portion of the eyeball like that. Cool. Get that dark. This is my thinnest brush. I'm just going to pull out some strokes of some fur right there, real light and delicate, and I'll just feather it a bit. There we go. All right, cool. Now I did say I was going to fix this edge right here. I'm going to move this out of the way so I can get a good angle on it. Nice clear water. It's dried right there, so I'm just going to pick a little brighter highlight right there. Just damp brush. I'm using a 1/4 inch flat brush, so I should be able to get a nice edge. Just enough water on it to reactivate that area. Cool, and I just made a wet spot. So now I got to fix that. I had a damp spot on my finger. Let me get that reddish brown. Now we got to fix that. it's a never-ending loop. All right, let's get a little bit of that burnt sienna. All right, now let's pop this in there. All right, we'll just reactivate it. There we go. Throw a little bit of that. Here, let me get a little orange in there. I'm going to pop a little bit of a rim, eyelid rim right up on the top there. And then let's get some white. Oh, I didn't. Oh, darn it. I'll use the white that came with the kit. All right, so thick white. White is opaque. White is opaque. I think cerulean blue is typically opaque as well. More like a gouache. Not gouache, gouache. All right, that's kind of the dirtiest looking white I've ever seen. All right, we'll keep messing with it. It should look white once I daub it on there. It's still very wet right there, so I can't do much yet. That's going to screw up my 15 minutes. We only got 30 seconds left. Oh my gosh. All right. All right, let's drop in a bit of a highlight right on the eye. We'll drop it in right there. Yep, not going to work. Let me get some white over here. There's my Pro White. I think I've had this jar for 30 years. And I'm still only about halfway through it. I used to use this a lot when I was a graphic designer. And I'm old enough that I started graphic design working as a paste-up artist on a drafting table, no computers. And we did a lot of painting and drawing. We wanted to see a layout. We had to draw the damn thing. All right, I'm just getting the nice consistency there of white. The lid cracked a long time ago, but that's okay. I just soon it dry out rather than stay moist in there and then start mold. It'll mold and mildew in there. So, all right, here we go. Nice. Plus that gave me a little chance for it to dry a little bit. All right, here we go. Just drop in those little touches. We had a little highlight edge right up here as well. I'm going to drop it in without hopefully screwing it up. All right, maybe drop a little bit right up here on right, so that is pretty much fixing that fox, and that fox looks much better now, and we are only a minute and a half over my timeline that I said I was wanting to get this done in. So there it is. And I can still fuss around with this, all sorts of messing around until I got it. Again, the biggest question is when to stop, and that is the million-dollar question. So there it is. I fixed the width of the snout, and I repositioned the eye and moved it into a better location, got the angle better, got that little arc to the lower portion of the eye. I'm just going to streak in just a bit more further, do a little more disguise work with the fur texture. A little more right there, a little dark contrast against that light. And there we go. We have a fixed fox. And that's how you repair a problem on your watercolor. And I'm sure you've had this problem. And just remember, you got to be willing to accept the fact that it could go tragically wrong and be able to rip it up. So here's the final piece after all the repairs. I do think it worked out better, and I've made the nose a little narrower and got the eye in the right position. You know, being able to fix your pieces is a good skill set to develop. And I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, please give me a like and a subscribe. I much appreciate your support. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.